The title of this video may seem a little extreme, but just like 1984, over the course of time and media, I shall warn you of how disabling the comments speaks louder for why we can't self-govern than the shopping cart dilemma. In my last video, I used a National Guardsman as an example of how depression isn't always as simple as a sad life equals depression. This time, I'll be using you, the viewer, as the starting reference point. Assuming this isn't your first exposure to the internet and this video isn't the first thing you've ever seen, extremely honored if that is the case, then you've come across media, whether that be images, video, or literature, that has provoked a reaction from you. This reaction, though not necessarily more intense than an in-person reaction per se, can cover the range of the emotional spectrum, inspiring you to leave a word of advocacy for the emotion you feel in the comments section. As we're well aware, there's this ever-growing demand for fresh and revitalized trends, whether this be popular memes or dances. Trends alone are insanity by definition, as every month or even week there's a new trend that defines the platform's main page, having real-world effects, especially when the trend is crime-related. However, just as impactful as they come in, the trends are quick to be thrown aside for the next big thing rearing its head on the horizon, or being cooked up by a little creator like myself. Every month since around like 2012, memes, now trends, as they evolved in the syntax, come out in increasing frequency. Additionally, I feel as though it's the growing popularity of social platform varieties that allow for the general users to feel more included as being creators. Look at TikTok, for example. It constantly displays quote-unquote, use this sound, or quote-unquote, try this effect, as a way of enticing the hidden gems of untapped people and personalities into making the platform's next main page hit. This video is about the downfall of free society, so how did I get onto new creators? Well, to give an example, my mom has a TikTok and she's a mid-50s adult woman with 2 kids, and I've seen her For You page. To generalize my findings, her For You page and my For You page are extremely different. It's this airtight algorithm that creates comfortable visuals that would put a new social space user in the safe mindset of creating something. Even then, however, my mom has only ever, to my knowledge, made one TikTok about her bulldog in a Superman costume. That's pretty easy, you know, like low-hanging fruit, nothing crazy there. But it's this open community that invites creativity, that gets those who should probably change their opinion, in my opinion, before posting, that eventually just post anyways. Not my mom though, love my mom. I don't like picking on specific creators, I don't think it matters at this size though, but I will cherry pick a few examples and blur their faces and names to show what I mean. Even companies, which I don't think deserve anonymity, will upload some very, excuse my French, dogshit, wee-wee, post, as you can call them. You know what? As a matter of fact, let's start with a company so I can set the precedence of what's to come. Companies and large corporations are the bad guys of the real world, and if you're willing to have an understanding on some level of how far in the shit we are, we need them now. You know how many times GM has been bailed out by the government? They're not just doing that for no reason. They are a vital point of the economy now. Shoe companies, or more specifically, shoe companies that produce clothing, are some of the top dog bad guys for the uses of outsourcing labor to developing countries where they don't have to abide by American regulations, i.e. sweatshops. Nike is known to do this a lot. Converse, another classic American shoe company, now owned by Nike, I know, shocker, monopolies are a thing still, decided to take a different approach when looking for sources of labor, especially in the design department. As in 2021, Converse had found themselves in a bit of hot water for using certain shoe designs for a national parks campaign. These designs, however, were apparently submitted by artist Cecilia Monge for a 2019 Converse internship program. I remember seeing the posting of the original TikTok by Cecilia and finding the story pretty interesting. Being the curious person I am, I navigated over to the Converse TikTok page for some internet sleuthing, selecting the first post, an ad for the national parks campaign, and going to the comments. Oh ho, comments disabled. Especially for an ad, that's weird. Let's do the strategy of finding a post with comments enabled to get to the bottom of this. Scrolling a few posts back, we find one. The comments pretty much held my own personal sentiment of, okay, and are we going to pay CC for these designs? And the such. On a post that was completely unrelated to the National Parks campaign. I think it was for jeans. Time to analyze this response from Converse as a means to relate it to the video title. But first, I need to explain some things about the government that my viewers may not understand. The government and the Fortune 300 companies of the American nation are all working towards the same goal of making America the richest country in existence. At the same time, in order to protect the very delicate economy of the world's richest country, we need large armies, breaking ground technology, and some of the most insane intelligence you've never met to do as good as we do now. It is insanely hard to run an empire that's pretty much democratic when it comes down to it, especially when in all reality, everyone is angry all the time. And the American government lets a lot slide. Guns. Road work takes too long, taxes are too high, and why aren't they doing anything about this? All common complaints of a functioning government. This baseline level of discomfort and the fact that you're hearing people complain about it is what makes this boat go as far as it does. It's this discord of the populace's voice, their comments, if you will, that make the government aware that despite their best attempts, here's what we as a governed people want in reality. Hence, a bit of democracy has been sprinkled in long after the official elections have concluded. Tying this all together, companies are so entangled with the government, the American people, and the world stage that I believe that we as a people have a right to comment or voice our opinions on anything they do, especially in America. You may say to yourself, well, why not make a video of your own calling them out as a way to draw attention to an issue? Because the second Converse can remove itself from the playing field, they will not be worried about the small creator responses, since it's not tied to them directly anymore. Converse essentially pulled the mic on a voice talking on stage and told them to go scream out on the streets about a topic not related to their surroundings. It's this ability to voice our opinions all together as a collective that straightens out the government. Are you telling me the government's best friend, corporations, is so above her that we can't say shit directly to them? Corporations are often treated like private citizens. Think I'm lying? Look it up. Private citizens. Now that's a new one, to most. So let's talk about that. A private citizen is you, me, and probably everyone you know. In other words, you're not a public figure. However, I argue that once you make a post that gives a window or voices your opinion, or God forbid, a defective opinion, you open that private life to the public, at least on this instance. Take, well, me for example. I get a few hate comments. Really surprising, I know, but let me just say, I am fully prepared to get called Jeffrey Dahmer till the end of time. Will I ban that word phrase from my comments? Absolutely not, because it's funny and I knew what I was getting into by being on the internet. It's this acceptance of name-calling that we're taught as children. Sure, it stings, but sometimes you really are just being a little stinker. Let's check out some not-so-well-adjusted people and close out this video with my final thoughts on why we're headed to hell. Not really, but maybe. For example, this individual turned off their comments in an apology video. My main complaint with this one is if you're not willing to see what those around you are willing to say, then how do you know that your apology is accepted by your community? The next one, this one really gets to me because family and parents who put their kids up on social media, oftentimes they won't turn off the comments when a child is upset or having a moment, but will turn them off the second anyone critiques their parenting abilities. More subtle tactics of censorship are just deleting individual comments. Comments can be gross in that way, but a lot of times it's just, hey, maybe don't put your kid up on the internet, a valid complaint. This behavior is why I think most of us couldn't self-govern, as the dismissal of another's opinion is a personal freedom the US government is downright, totally fine with us having. I feel as though my stage analogy may have been a bit flawed in its presentation with Converse. To turn off comments is to walk into a crowded room where everyone is chatting, screaming shut up and shooting anyone if they think about talking. Freedom of speech and comments go hand in hand, and if you walk down the street saying nothing to no one, they'll probably say nothing to you. But if you go down the street screaming racisms, things will probably be said to you. You then have the option of removing yourself from the situation, i.e. not checking socials, but those people who saw what you did will most likely talk amongst each other about the crazy guy screaming racisms. A lot of those who turn off comments on posts where something controversial is happening cannot accept that perhaps they could be wrong in their opinion, so better yet, silence everyone. My name is Gideon, and if we could all just be adults who hear what others have to say, that would be really awesome. Merch and links, please like and subscribe. Peace out.